So in August of 2012, I was indicted by the federal government on drug conspiracy charges. Conspiracy with the intent to distribute a kilo or more of heroin. But I don't sell drugs, so let me explain how I found myself in this predicament.
Be any different. These are the Chronicles of Mike Murphy.
These are the Chronicles of Mike Murphy, which narrator, comedian Mike Murphy. So in August of 2012, I was indicted by the federal government on drug conspiracy charges. Conspiracy with the intent to distribute a kilo or more of heroin. But I don't sell drugs, so let me explain how I found myself in this predicament. I would have to take you back 5 years prior. Now it's August of 2007. I'm just getting home from the military. I'm reuniting with all my childhood friends who I haven't seen in the last couple of years because I've been off serving my country proudly. One in particular happens to live in the same building as me, one floor below me. So we together almost every day, thick as thieves. He comes to me one day and says, bro, how good is your credit? Now I know when somebody asks you that, it's usually because they want you to sign for something. Now he don't have bad credit, but he don't have no credit because he's a street pharmaceutical rep. So I said, my credit's good. Why you ask me that? He said, I'm trying to get an iPhone and I need somebody with good credit. So you guys are probably thinking, what you need good credit for to get an iPhone? Well, when the iPhones first came out, you absolutely had to have a certain credit score to get them. And AT&T was the only carrier who sold the iPhone. So he said, if you put the phone in your name for me, I'll buy you a phone as well. I said, sound like a deal to me. I had a Nextel at the time, but these iPhones had just came out and they was the hottest thing smoking on the streets. If you had one of these, you was the man. I said, yeah, let's go get them. We go down. I get approved for up to 10 lines, sort of like how Nextel used to do it. I get his phone. I get my phone. We go about our business. We happy. We the iPhone boys now, right? So fast forward maybe a year later, I can't remember the exact date. He has to go to jail for a case he was already fighting prior to this. It's nothing new. It's something he was already in court for. He got to do 6 months in the county. So I get the phone back. And I would have turned it off, but there was like a disconnect fee that would have cost me a lot of money, and I don't think I had it at the time. So what I did instead was I gave the phone to my girlfriend, and I let her use it. Now, she has the phone the entire time he's in jail, and right around the time he's getting released, her and I break up. So I take the phone back, and I give it back to him, and we just change the number. He gets the phone. Now, unbeknownst to him, somebody that we're also close with, my man Teddy Stacks, rest in peace, he's being investigated by the DEA, but none of us know. And now he's hanging with Stacks every day. He's pulling up in his Audi A8, big boy. He got jewelry on. They can clearly tell he's operating outside of the law. And they say, well, who's this guy that's with the other guy we're already investigating? They do their due diligence. They find out who he is. Now he's being investigated, which he doesn't know. Because he has no reason to think that the feds will be investigating him. He just got out of jail. He's doing his thing or whatever. Now, I'm not a criminal, but I'm smart enough to know that if you're going to be operating outside of the law, you're not going to be doing drug transactions on a phone that can be traced back to you. So never did it ever cross my mind that if I put this phone in my name, he would be doing illegal stuff on the phone. I couldn't have been more wrong. So anyways, fast forward a few months, he calls me at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm eating at a diner called Eaton Park in Squirrel Hill. It's no longer there, but it was an establishment that everybody frequented after hours because it was open 24 hours and it was popping. I'm at the diner with some shorties. We eating. I get a call at 2 o'clock. He says, yo, what you doing? I tell him. He says, I need you to come get me. I said, where are you at? He said, I'm on Route 28. I got pulled over doing 125 miles an hour in a 55 mile an hour speed limit. I said, they taking you to jail? He said, nah, they told me if I can find someone to come pick me in the car up, they'll just let me go with a ticket. Now, he doesn't even have a license, and he was doing 125 and a 55. I got pulled over on that exact same highway doing 90 on a motorcycle, and they towed my bike and gave me a ticket for reckless driving. So the fact that he's just getting a speeding ticket, he has no license, and they're willing to let him go seemed a bit suspicious to me. But I didn't really think too much into it. I go pick him up. We get out of there. All is well. Now, fast forward. It's Super Bowl Sunday, 2011. The Steelers are playing the Packers. And this is a Super Bowl that the Steelers lost. And I'm still upset about it. But that's not here nor there. He's watching the game at my house. And he says, yo, I'm going to order us some wings from Showcase Barbecue. You just go pick them up. I already paid for it. I said, cool. Can I take your car? Because this car was far better than mine. I didn't want to be seen in my car. He said, yeah, go ahead. I jump in the Audi. I take off. At some point from my house to the barbecue place, I realize I'm being followed. And I don't know why, but I'm ready for the action. So when I get out the car, the people follow me, drive past me, hit a U-turn in the middle of the street, park the car, and jump out. It's one black dude and two white guys. So at this point, I'm already in Showcase. I pull my gun out, which was a Springfield 45. I walk out the door and I raise it up to let them know, like, this ain't what you want. And they stop. And I remember the black dude putting his hand on the other dude's chest, like, no. And they turn around, they get back in the car and they leave. And I'm like, yo, what the hell was that? Everybody in the chicken spot looking at me like I'm bugging. I'm like, nah. There was some friction outside. And I know the owner, so that's my man, Drew. We cool. He looking at me like, I'm like, nah, we good. I get my food. I leave. I go back to the house. I tell him what just happened. He brushed it off like, oh, you probably tripping. You know, he don't think nothing of it. I'm like, okay, cool. That's the second red flag. So now about a month later, it's March of 2011. I can't remember the exact date, but I'm on the phone with my girlfriend. And I'm like, yo, I was supposed to go to New York tonight with my man because he was supposed to be getting a record deal, or it was something regarding music. He was supposed to go to New York to meet with these people to talk about a deal. And he wanted me to drive him up there because he doesn't have a license. We were supposed to leave that night and then do the meeting in the next day. He tells me, nah, we're not going to go tonight, bro. We'll just go in the morning. We can get some rest and just drive up. I said, all right, bet. So I called my girl and say, yo, I'm not going to New York like I thought. Why don't you come stay the night with me? She was like, oh, you waited till I already got dressed and got in bed. I'm like, look, I'll come pick you up. I just want to see you. Let me, come stay with me. How about I stay with you? She's like, nah, my son's here. I got to get him up in the morning, yada, yada. Listen, how about I just stay with you tomorrow night? I'm like, all right, bet. I said, I'm going to go to bed. I'm tired. I'll hit you tomorrow. She's like, cool. Now, I remember being really tired, but not being able to go to sleep. I had this really eerie feeling. I couldn't put my finger on it. I remember going to the bathroom like 3 times in the middle of the night, which is very rare for me. It wasn't like I drank a lot of water, but I kept getting up. The last time I got up to go to the bathroom was 5:30 in the morning. And when I walked out of the bathroom, I could see the light under my apartment door because there's a hallway out there. And it looked like there was someone walking in front of the door. Like it was like the darkness. So I walked to the door. I looked through the peephole. I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything either. I open the door. I peek out. I don't see anything. I said, oh, maybe I'm tripping. But that feeling, I'm telling you, was like really eerie. I get back in the bed. And now I'm starting to really go to sleep because I'm tired at this point. I haven't slept all night. Exactly 30 minutes later, 6 o'clock on the dot, boom, 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 boom. Feds hit the door and they come in. They're screaming, DA, all this. There's Zone 5 police officers, there's state troopers. It's like 30 people in my house in the blink of an eye. I'm like, holy shit. They throw me on the ground. They zip tie me. Now they got me on a couch. And if you ever see movies when they're raiding someone's house and they're tearing everything up, and you think they're exaggerating? No, that's exactly what happens. They cut my box spring open. They poured all the cereal out of my box, the boxes of cereal. They're pulling the shelves out of the fridge. They're doing everything. And I'm sitting on the couch and I'm thinking like, this is crazy. And the dude said, do you know why we're here? I told him, I don't know why you're here. But in my head, I definitely knew it was about my friend because I'm going to take you guys back a couple months before this happened. I'm in my closet. I'm putting my pants on, changing to go somewhere. And I notice a bag in my closet, like a shopping bag. I look at it. It's like 300 bricks of heroin. And I'm like, oh, hell no. I text my man right away. Yo, bro, come get this out of my crib right now. My daughter be here. I do not play that. We not doing this, bro. Like, I got too much to lose. You cannot keep that here. Now, he had a key to my house. He could come and go as he pleased. That's my guy like that. You know what I'm saying? My man, 100 grand. So I gave him a key to the spot. I didn't think he was going to do that. And I basically told him he was wrong. He apologized. Yo, I'm going to come get it right now. My bad. It won't happen again. I said, bet. So I'm thinking that at some point, they must have been following him, seen him go in there, and that's what they thought might have been his stash house, is what I'm thinking. So when they ask me, do I know why they're there? I say no, but I do know why. So they're checking everything, right? And I remember sitting on the couch and they flipped up the love seat cushion. The cushion on the love seat was like, bingo. And I'm like, what are you talking about bingo for? I'm thinking, damn, there's drugs there? Like, ugh. And he puts his finger like around the loop of the trigger mechanism and holds up a Mac 11. He said, what do we have here? Now, I'm allowed to have guns. So I immediately was like, yo, that's mine. I'm allowed to have that. And he's like, oh, okay, well, what about this? Brings out the Springfield, the 45 that I pulled out on them people at Showcase and was like, is this yours too? I'm like, yeah, that's mine too. I got a gun license. It's right there in my wallet. They take the gun license. They take the guns, put them in evidence. They take my cell phones. They take everything but my regular ID. They zip tie me. I guess I'm zip tied. They let me get dressed. I put a white t-shirt on, some hoop shorts, and some flip-flops. It's March in Pittsburgh. It's freezing cold. They destroyed the crib and they take me down to Zone 5 police station. They're interrogating me. I'm like, yo, I don't know nothing. Now, what I found out later was they had a warrant to search my house, but not an arrest warrant for me because I wasn't being indicted. So they're like, all right, well, we suggest you come forward and tell us everything you know about your friend before we indict you too. And I'm thinking like, man, what you want to indict me for? I didn't do nothing. I didn't do nothing wrong at all. You ain't got no evidence against me. So I immediately got to figure out how the way to get in touch with him because I'm still thinking he's out there free. Oh, I don't know why I thought that. I walked 2.5 miles to my house in March in flip-flops, white tee, and basketball shorts and was freezing. I get to the house, I throw on some regular clothes, grab my car, I leave out. And I don't have a phone, so I can't call nobody. I drive all the way out to his house. I see that the battering ram then knocked his garage door in. His main door is knocked off the hinges. You could tell they just ransacked the whole house. I'm like, damn, they got him. I'm like, well, maybe not. So I run to this other apartment that he had just got like maybe 2 months prior to that. I go there. They didn't go to that place. They might not have known about it, but he wasn't there either. So I leave there. I finally go to my homegirl's house. Rest in peace, my girl D-Dub. I'm telling her what happened. She's like, yeah, I know. They got so-and-so. They got Stacks. She's naming everybody. How she knew all this that fast was beyond me, but she used to know everything. I'm like, damn. I hit up my man Demo. I'm like, bro, do you got a spare phone? I need a phone. He's like, yeah, I got one. He brings me the phone. I get it activated with my number. Now I got a phone. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. A couple of hours go by. Everyone in the indictments gets released on her own recognizance, except for my man because he's already on probation from the charge I told y'all about earlier. So they're holding him. He's getting detained because he's already on probation. So he don't get out. So I talked to him. He's like, man, this is crazy, whatever. I get a lawyer because they keep saying they're eventually going to charge me. And I'm like, well, they can't charge me for nothing. I didn't do anything, but let me get a lawyer anyways. I was broke as a joke. I probably had about $400 to my name at that point. Every single lawyer in Pittsburgh was charging a minimum 20 bands for this case. They're like sharks in the water when they see blood. Oh, and a federal indictment, drugs. Oh yeah, now they could charge whatever they want because they know people got to pay it to beat the case or to get as little time as possible. I didn't have that kind of money. I got a public defender. When I finally meet my public defender, he looked like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. He was old as hell and told me, this is my last case before I retire. I'm thinking to myself, you should have retired before this case because what's going on with you, bro? I felt like he was completely incompetent and I was going to jail if I let him represent me. I tried to get a new public defender. They denied me. I'm like, oh, I'm definitely going to jail. So fast forward, I'm in class. It's August of 2011. I'm in class to get my CDL. My phone rings. It's my attorney. I pick it up. I say, what's going on? He said, I got good news and I got bad news. I said, okay, give me the good news first. He said, the bad news is you're being indicted. I said, oh, time out, bro. I said, give me the good news first. And how is there any other good news after you tell me I'm being indicted? He's like, well, the good news is they're not coming to look for you, so you can just turn yourself in on Friday. I remember it was a Tuesday. And I said, I got to turn myself in Friday. He was like 9 o'clock in the morning. You got to turn yourself in to the DA building in Stowe Rocks. I got all the information for you when you're ready to take, write it down, let me know. And I'm like, oh my God, like what are they indicting me for? Like I was confused because I hadn't done anything. I was making like $37,000 a year working a regular job and I worked for juvenile probation at the time. I was on the right path. What are they indicting me for? Friday comes, my mom takes me to the federal building. The DA building. She's crying. I'm like, just calm down. You know what I mean? Like, I know they're going to let me right back out. They let all them dudes out who I know were a part of the case. I turned myself in. The agents was pretty cool. Way different than when they were in my house. Because when they were in my house, man, they were just, they were pushing me around, talking to me like I was scum of the earth, all this. When I got there, he was like, oh, man, you know, sorry this is happening to you. But, you know, I'm like, well, what am I being indicted for? And it was like, you know, you put a phone in your name for him. And I'm like, the phone? I'm getting indicted over the phone. Is that even illegal to do? Like, what? So what happened was, one day he called me and asked me to change the number on the phone that they were tapping. And I didn't know that. I mean, he didn't know that. I changed the number, and they said when I did that, I was aiding and abetting someone to help him evade capture. And that made me a part of the conspiracy. And if you know anything about a conspiracy, you don't have to do much to be tied in with everybody else. And guess what? Whether you put a phone in your name or you sell 50 kilos, you're facing the same amount of time as everyone else. So I'm facing 20 years for putting a phone in my name. I'm like, yo, if I go to jail for selling drugs and I never made no money off selling drugs, I'm going to be pissed. So once he finds out that I got indicted, he calls me. He says, yo, I feel like shit, bro. I apologize. I shouldn't have done this. I put you in this. You got to cooperate with them and tell them whatever they want to know about me. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that, bro. I ain't telling. He's like, yo, you're a civilian. You're not in this game. You didn't get caught up and then try to save yourself. I put you in this situation. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if they took you away from your daughter and made you do jail time for something you had nothing to do with. You need to cooperate with them and take the deal that they give you because I can't beat this case. Now, I'm from the hood. Even though I'm not in the streets, I know that there's repercussions for being labeled a snitch. I'm like, nah, bro, they're going to be calling me a snitch in the hood? Like, I can't have that. He's like, nah, bro, I'm going to make some calls. I'm going to let everybody know that I'm telling you to do this. You're going to be straight. I'm like, all right, man. So he calls all the people that got some say in the hood. And he's like, yo, that's my man. He's solid. He's doing this because I'm telling him to do it. I involved him. He ain't no rat. They're like, oh, I bet. So I go down to cooperate with them a couple months later. And when I walk into the room, there's a black dude in there. He's like, do you remember who I am? I'm like, you look familiar, but no. He's like, you pulled a gun on me at Showcase Barbecue on a Super Bowl. I'm like, oh, I'm like, yo, that was you? He was like, yeah. He was like, we were following the car thinking it was him. And then when you got out, we realized that it wasn't him. I'm like, yo. He's like, was you going to shoot us? I was like, absolutely. He was like, oh my God, serious? I'm like, yes. Like, you're telling me? Like, I don't know what's going on. I ain't doing nothing illegal. Like, I was about to smoke y'all. He just started laughing like, I'm glad you didn't. I'm like, yeah, me too. Killed federal agent? Oh, dude, that put me under the jail. So I sit there, I give them the information that they want. Everything I told them was stuff they already knew, so I was really no help with them. But because I didn't lie about anything, they still gave me credit. When I go to court, I end up just speaking on my own behalf and not even allowing the lawyer to talk for me because at one point, he was going on for 5 minutes going over the details of a case that didn't even involve me. He's like, oh, this isn't your file. Sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. I'm like, nah, bruh, it ain't happening. So when I went to court, I basically spoke on my own behalf, explained what happened, took the plea deal, and I got sentenced to 36 months of probation, which I only did 18 of, and then I got released for good behavior. They ended it. And I'm not gonna lie, I thought being indicted and convicted of a felony for drugs was gonna be the worst thing that ever happened to me because I did rely on having a job and having a background check that could pass. And so with that going to be on my record, I was like, I'm never going to get a good job ever again. Like, I'm thinking I'm about to be like a McDonald's type dude. What I thought was going to be the worst thing that ever happened to me ended up being one of the best things that happened to me because that made me start thinking outside the box. And I became a business owner after that. I started to get jobs that didn't require you to have a clean record. And I made the most money I ever made in my life from that year forward. It was the best thing that happened to me. And it came out of what would be unexpected. Would I want to do it again? Probably not, but I don't really have any regrets. And when it was all said and done, I thought to myself, I got federally indicted over putting a damn phone in my name that I could have cut off when he went to jail the first time. But that's my friend, man. He did his time. He did 9 years. Didn't tell on nobody. Came home. Now he's doing real estate. Everyone from that case came home and they did their time. My man Stacks is no longer with us. Rest in peace. He passed away in a car accident in 2020. That was my guy, man. But he did his time. Everyone did their time like men and came home from it. But it was a very hard lesson learned about being around people you have nothing in common with. I was the only one that was actually working a job, and I was hanging around a bunch of drug dealers, and I got indicted for it. So that's my story on how I got federally indicted on drug charges, even though I wasn't selling drugs. These are the Chronicles of Mike Murphy, man. Catch us on the next episode. Until then, be safe.